Okay, starting in a moment. Everyone, hello, welcome. Not sure if it's connected just yet, but we'll push the go button just in a
Yeah.
moment.
Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Lots of chatter already. Obviously, an important topic that we're getting to the bottom of today.
Okay, I think it is there. So,
Yep.
and here we go. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
I'm Rick. This is Grant. We're talking today about AI in an art context, and specifically, does 3D art have a future in the age of AI? Man, there's already a lot of conversation going on in the chat, which is great to see. Grant, you're a 3D artist. You've been doing 3D art for a long time. You teach folks 3D art. It's your life. You love it. You're right in there.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the direction that the world is going with AI at the moment, and in terms of what it means for 3D art? A big, broad question to kick us off.
Yeah. That's good though. Yeah. It's funny because I was making notes about this, thinking of what we're going to say, but I didn't actually think, how do I feel about it? It's a good question. A very good question. It's hard not to be slightly apprehensive because it's so difficult to tell what's coming around the corner. And every time you see a new development, you think, "Oh, is this it? Is this going to change everything?" But interestingly, on that point, even just today, I think, last few days, Google released something which is kind of how you can edit photos, and it's you can just type in, "Oh, put a cup in this person's hand," or remove this person, that sort of thing, and it does it very effectively. But even with the people who were showing it off, and I was going through sort of shorts and things like that, it was all, "Oh, this is going to change everything." But we hear that every single time.
Yeah.
And I looked closely at the image that they popped up, and there were hands missing, and the cup was outside the hand, and all this sort of thing. It just it's still not there. And we hear so much. It's quite scary if you look on YouTube and you look on these at these people's shorts who are kind of promoting, a lot of the time they're promoting one person's product, or they're trying to be sensationalist so they can get more clicks on their video. So they're bound to be pushing it as if this is going to change everything, and it's always the title, this is a game changer, this 3D artists are out of business, and all this sort of thing. So so each time I have to sort of step back and think, let's just look closely at this. Is it going to change anything? Not quite. So but I'm still, because we don't know the future. So it's, like I say, it's tough not to be apprehensive, but at the moment I'm still positive about my role as a 3D artist, as an educator as well. But I still feel there is lots of opportunities out there, lots of creative, expressive ideas coming out from the artists I see out there. So I'm not doom and gloom. I'm still very positive about it. Hopefully that sort of answers your question as how I'm feeling about it anyway.
Yeah, it's a good starting point.
Yeah.
For me, there's a lot of what do we all want to do personally? And one of the things that I've been a little bit on the going down the rabbit hole of is thinking, oh, but there's parts of the craft that I like to do. I like to design games. I like to get in there and make games. I like to work on the gameplay from an art point of view. I've never really been someone who spent a lot of time creating the assets, but I like to be an art director and say, oh, this is how we could do it. Oh, tweak it a little bit that way. So I think if I look at that and say, how can I still keep doing those things even as AI marches along? The answer is yes. If I put myself in the shoes of someone who loves 3D art, is in there making characters, or is making amazing scenes or levels or landscapes, can the person who loves doing that still do it? I think the answer is yes, no matter where AI gets to. So there's a little bit of, I think we all need to start with, what do I love to do and can I still do it? And maybe will
Exactly.
I be able to do it better? And if the answer is yes, then that's fantastic. Keep doing it. And then I think a lot of where people get stuck is, but here's the bit that I like to do and I want to do, and I want to do that as a job, as a career. And
Yes.
maybe I won't be able to do that. And I think this is the crux of a lot of people's frustration and concern about AI is, but then what do I do? And that's a little bit of what I wanted to talk today about is,
Mm.
what can we do as if you're a 3D artist in the age of AI? Where are the opportunities? How do you improve your skills so that even if certain aspects of your role or your job or your interests aren't needed as much because AI can do it quicker, better, what have you, what else can you then add to it so that you are still relevant, you're still excited about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis? So that's context for what
Yeah.
things do you think in the next, say, 2 or 3 years, we it's tough to predict 5 or 10 years, but in the next 2 or 3 years, what are the aspects of being a 3D artist that are gonna become more important as AI comes along and not go away with AI coming along? What's your crystal ball? What's your prediction on that?
Yeah. Actually, before we go into that, I just want to say we're open to questions. So make sure you put question before your question. I mean,
QSTN, yeah, pop in
yep.
QSTN into
Yeah, and then
your
we can see it's a
question.
question, and we'll get to those as we go through. So, in terms of what we're seeing in technology-wise in the future, is that what your question there, Rick?
I'm seeing if the comments displaying on the screen is a good look.
Ooh.
Um, eh, maybe not. People can read it in the YouTube comments. My question is specifically, what aspects can we be focusing on with ourselves
Yeah,
and our skills and our our skill set so that we are still relevant in the age of AI in the
yeah,
next
that's
next 2 or 3 years? What do we need
yeah,
to get
that
better at? And it might not, yeah. What do we need to
yeah.
get better at?
Sorry. Yeah, that's the best question to ask yourself. So well done, Rick. You've done well. Look at
Thanks,
you.
mate.
But as I see it, knowing the fundamentals is going to be essential for a huge amount of time coming until AI takes over every aspect of production, and we're all out. Everybody's kind of out thinking, well, what are we going to do now? But you need to know the fundamentals to know what's going wrong in the AI image, or so you produce an AI image. Let's say you're, and I'm just on that point, we haven't gone into any ethics yet about using AI. We probably won't cover that in this particular one, but let's pretend AI is here, it's going to stay, and which is highly likely. So we're using it as artists, and that's how it's going to go. I'm
Yeah.
thinking that in itself is probably a really contentious
Let's
question phrase.
we can circle back to that one in terms of the should you or
Yeah,
shouldn't you? We've kind
yeah,
of made an assumption here, but I think there's a lot of people out there saying, "But it looks like it's here to stay. What do I do? How do I stay
exactly. Yeah.
relevant, useful?"
Yeah, so fundamentals like simple things like composition. Has AI produced a good composition? What if it hasn't? Why is it not working? Is the house on one side with the rule of thirds, the classic? Is the depth really showing because we've got saturated foreground, less saturated distance? These sort of art fundamentals that you need to know and be able to spot and produce yourself is going to be vital to understand and make sure you have a good knowledge of that. So I don't think that's ever going to go away, that sort of understanding the fundamentals and the enjoyment of the fundamentals as well. We've talked about enjoying it as well. And I think on that, AI for a long time to come is going to be a tool rather than a complete solution. And because I look at this a lot in AI in business and in game development as well as 3D, and we seem to be seeing a trend where big corporations are trying to replace as many people as possible with AI. They've got it's shareholders. It's all about the shareholders and maximizing profits. So right, surely we can just get the AI in, and this is people at the top who don't really understand the systems. They're trying to replace everybody with AI, and then there's a case where they're trying to hire people back because hang on, this isn't working. There's loads of mistakes coming out. So we are seeing that it's not a complete solution at the moment, and I think that is going to be the case for a long time. And what we're seeing actually is more the smaller teams doing well with AI because they understand they are in the trenches, as it were. They understand the fundamentals of art. Let's say it is. They can use the AI effectively. So you still need that person there to use the AI as a tool, and those smaller businesses are thriving with the use of AI rather than big corporations trying to just replace people. So there's that aspect. And again, I know there's going to be lots of contentious conversation about this because there may be people out there watching this who've perhaps lost their job because of this. And I do have sympathy there. It's not that we're being callous and saying, oh, don't worry about a thing. It will still shake up the industry in the same way big technology changes have shaken up the industry. But it's another one of those. And yes, it might be a little bit different. It might be a bigger shake up, but it's still going to need people behind it for a long time coming. Does that make sense, Rick?
Yeah. I mean, when we talk a little bit about 3D art and AI, for me, I'm thinking generative AI, where I can hop into a program and type in, please give me a character that looks like a warrior, a medieval knight. We'll say medieval knight with a sword and a shield and shiny armor that looks like it's, the cannon fodder. There we go. And then I might have to do 2 or 3 or 10 or 100 different attempts to get something that looks what I've got in my, the vision in my mind to get that. But that process to get to, oh, here's pretty much what I wanted, will be significantly quicker than me jumping into Blender and making it myself, coming up with the concept, trying to model it, etc. And it'll look better than, me as a super spazzy beginner Blender person. It'll look better than what I can come up with. Cool, there it is. And then generative AI is going to say, please rig this and give me a standard set of animations. I need a run, I need a swing, I need a what have you. And my prediction in the next 2 or 3 years is I'll be able to do that significantly better than I could on my own in Blender. However, it won't be exactly what I wanted. But neither would I get if I created it myself, because I'm not good enough. So it'll get, better or as close as or better than what I could create myself. It'll be pretty good. Okay, it won't be exactly what I wanted. The armor won't be quite the right shininess. The run cycle won't quite be the same sort of heavy weightedness that I want. So I think the skill that I would need to have is the ability to go in there and say, okay, I'm going to go and make this armor a bit more shiny, a little less shiny, a little bit more rusty, a little bit more like this, and just sort of tweak the sliders. And I need to know how to do that. There might be another AI tool that comes along, which is the AI for tweaking the shininess of the metal for your knights in your model. That maybe something comes along for that. But for now, I still need to go to know how to use the fundamental tools to do that. I need to know how to change the material, the texture, the lighting, the blending, the feel of it. I need to know how to do that still. I need to know how to tweak the animation still. I need to know how to make the sword slightly larger that way and slightly smaller that way still. And I think that's the skill as 3D artists that we need to embrace and appreciate. If you know how to do that already, there'll be the tweaking, the changing, the improving, the adjusting, that you can take something that gets you 90% of where you want to significantly quicker than you could have. And then you get the joy and the skill of making it just right. And I think that's the thing for us to focus on at the moment, not to say, no one's ever going to need me, but to say, instead of having one knight in my game as the cannon fodder, I can now make 40 of these suckers that are all going to be slightly different personality, slightly different animation, slightly different way of, and so then when someone plays my game, they're going to see a whole array of different objects. So I think it'll allow for so much more variety, depth, feeling, mood, emotion in the game, because it'll cut out the thing that would have taken me a week previously. I can do in a few hours perhaps. And so then I can do so much more of that. I think that's what we should be focusing on and embracing in the short term. And now if AI tools don't do a very good job of being able to give us that, then cool, we still need to do more of the fundamentals, actually modeling it and rigging it, animating it ourselves. But as they do more of that, we can just rely upon it and get to our starting point a lot more quickly. That's my feeling at the moment in 3D art.
Yeah, and I think someone was asking fundamentals. What do you mean by the fundamentals? Well, as Rick points out there, the shininess isn't quite right. But how does Rick know the shininess isn't right? It's like, there's some shiny armor, that's fine. But if you've been in there and you've textured armor and you understand the different maps that are needed for the shininess, the roughness map, or the glossy map, as it's sometimes the reverse. Then you'll understand also how to paint those maps, where to paint them. It's right on the edges usually that the wear is the most, and then it becomes shiny. It sort of becomes almost polished, and that's where you get the sort of realism and the interest and the character coming through. And where do I put the dents, and what does a dent look like that's come from a big hammer? And those things, they're the sort of fundamentals that you learn as an artist as you're going through when you're producing lots of content and looking at lots of content, and it's that eye that you'll still need. Otherwise, all the games are going to look very generic, all the same. If we don't understand what makes a character cute, what makes a character tough, what sort of character, what makes a character even, what sort of traits does it have, like big broad shoulders or really tiny thin characters? What sort of feeling do you get from them? And that's the side of art that you need to be pursuing all the time, as I would call the fundamentals, that sort of basic understanding of what looks good, what doesn't, what constitute these genres and so forth. That's one aspect of it anyway.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, the fundamentals. I think people are going to need to be directors rather than workers. And what I mean by that is, say 10 or 20 years ago when I was, or 20 years ago when I was early in the games industry, there were jobs that were perfect for someone who was a junior on the team, because you just needed someone to, can you just go rename these 500, whatever, these 500 animations, or can you please connect them to the right spot in the game, or can you go through and just, tweak something, and mind-numbing work. There was at one stage, the team that I was part of was working on hidden object games, and the artist had to create the 2D images with all these, it came from a library of images, like stock images, and then they had to tweak it and adjust it and then put it into the scene and have it in exactly the right spot, and sort of change the shading a little bit so the lighting looked right, and have it all kind of matched and lined up. And there was, within that process, we had a couple of juniors on the team who had to do the grunt work, the mind-numbing stuff, that just get the thing from the library, the asset from the 50,000 image library, pop it in there, tweak it a little bit, do a couple of things, save it the right way, put it in the right spot, make sure the folders were whatever, so that the more experienced, skilled artists could get there and do the placing. That goes there. Put the bird in the tree. Oh, we'll put the thing right behind the bird. That'll be neat. Maybe this, maybe there. So there were steps in that process that a junior person was needed to do, that as technology gets better, as workflows get better, as tools get better, as AI gets better, we won't need a lot of those junior grunt work, just fiddle with the thing for hours and hours and hours and hours. Those roles are going to be less, there'll be less of them. So then it becomes more difficult to get into the industry because there's less of those junior starting roles. There'll be a lot more need and emphasis and demand on the person who is placing things. Because now, instead of doing one scene a week, we can do one scene a day, because that early part of the process has been sped up. So instead of needing one person to get there and be like, how do I place things? We might need 3 people to do that. And so that's just one example. I'm making up the numbers, and I'm guessing at this, of course. We're all just guessing at this. But rather than being feeling flat about the fact that, oh, there's not going to be this particular role anymore, let's spend time focusing on what roles will there be more of? What do we need more of? Because the industry is not going away. The need for art's not going away. Games aren't going away. So the opportunities aren't going away. They're just changing the shape of it. So if you're reskilling or upskilling or changing your focus at the moment, I think what you really need to focus on is, how do I become an art director? How do I have a good eye for that looks good, that doesn't look good? Grant, you're talking before about dents on the knight. How do you look at that and say, my knight looks too shiny, too clean? Knights don't look like that. Or looking at the enemies and saying, why are the enemies all kind of running like they're in a hurry? The enemies wouldn't be in a hurry. The enemies would be hungry and slow and kind of, dragging their knuckles. So to really look at that, take your philosophy one level higher in terms of who you are as an artist, that it's in a way, if you are excited by that, I think it's a great time to be around, because you might be able to get to that point quicker. And in my experience, a lot of people who are going through their career as an artist are often saying, one day I would like to be an art director, I think this technological advancement might be shaving some time off you getting to that point.
Yes. Yeah, that's another point that I think about a lot. When I first started as a 3D artist, I actually wanted to make either films or games. That I didn't start thinking I want to be a 3D artist. I love the idea of making art, and I did love art, so I sort of slotted into that role. But if it had been today, and I was thinking that, I would probably be thinking maybe the next level up, in the sense of, oh, I want to be that storyteller again. I want to create my own games. And maybe there's going to be the technology to make it easier. I don't have to specialize so closely in 3D modeling, or because the whole, let's say, making a character, there's modeling, texturing, just even lighting, rigging. There's so much. And then the animation. There's so many steps to it that if AI can come along and make, like, well, the one thing I'd love AI to solve is topology. If it could come along and do those things, it would make making the characters much faster. And then it's suddenly, oh, I could actually start making animations, which is kind of where I started. I wanted to be able to animate characters, maybe not make a film. That was my end goal, but it sort of whittled down into, oh, maybe I could just do animations. That was a bit too much. Maybe I could just be a character artist. Okay, I'm pretty much a sculptor at these stage, where it's just one level of making a character. But maybe we can go up again to the other levels a bit easier, because there is an easier flow to it. And I think, and that's still on the idea that AI is a tool rather than a complete solution. And if AI does start making the models better than I can, and they've got this wonderful character, and I can see that, okay, I can type all these different attributes in, and it's coming out with a better character than me, well, at that point, then I'll start thinking about, well, I want to be able to animate this character, so I'm going to work on my animation. If AI can do the animations and the characters, okay, let's make actual animations out of that, short sequences. And if AI can do that better, I think that's where AI is really struggling. I know we've got AI that's producing film clips, but they're the ones I see are sort of a few minutes long, and you see lots of errors in there. You can clearly see it's AI still, and I think that's going to be a real struggle to lose that last 20% where it's here's AI and here's real. I think that's going to be very tough, especially when it comes to video. So it's going to be a long time before that's replaced. But even if it replaces that, then can I put my own story, my own personality into a film, and into a film script this is, and get AI to produce this? And I have a life experience that maybe I want to share, and then AI can help me to do that. So I think there's always a tool aspect to AI. And if AI is doing all this, and then it's even outperforming my reality, then it's to that stage where it's sort of like, well, society is going to have to change all over the place anyway. And it's the question isn't, is 3D art still applicable? Is jobs still applicable at that point? So it becomes a little bit in the pie in the sky thinking at that point. But I always think there's that one step up that, oh, well, that's great. Maybe it's going to make it easier for me to go up that level, so I can, like Rick says, be the art director now, and start using this tool to my advantage to be that next step up. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, it's interesting that you were starting to get into this before, Grant. It's probably good for us to touch on the ethics of art a little bit. And I've just been reading the discussion. Great discussion. Thanks for everyone who's participating at the moment. And this is always the discussion. What I hear, what I really feel from people is, and because I feel the same way, is I don't want this to come along and do the stuff that I love to do. This sucks. Like, I hate this. And so I think we don't want to lose the joy of getting into Blender or Maya and firing something up and saying, here's my vision, I'm going to create it. And I spent some time, I created this model, and it's great, and I'm really proud of it. And here's me doing it. We don't want to lose that. That's the first part. And the second part is the fundamental, but this doesn't seem right. People put their blood, sweat, and tears into creating art, and then the AI is coming along and just stealing it all, and getting better based upon the blood, sweat, and tears of artists who won't see any reward for their efforts for doing that. So there's the ethical, moral aspect of it. And then there's the legal aspect of it. Are they even allowed to do this? How's this happened? And I think we've had enough time now at least a year to be thinking through these issues and taking a stance on it. And like you and I are champions for the community. We're out there saying we want people to do what they love. We love indie
Absolutely.
game development. We love helping artists. We love when people are following their dream and their passion. So we're all in that camp. That's all the sort of caveats for, um, we're I think we're in this together and we believe the same things. I've reached the conclusion that it's not going away. So the time for us to fight it has come and gone. There was a period of time where there was a lot of people saying, let's get these things taken down. Let's take them to court. This is not ethical. This is theft. I think that time has come and gone because there's ways now for the companies who are in the space to train their models using their own data, their own information, their own art. And there's examples of, again, you might not think it's ethical the way that they've done it, but companies that are saying, okay, we've got this library of stuff that's been provided. We're going to say to people, you can opt in or opt out, and if you opt out, we won't use yours. We'll use everyone else's, and all that has happened to get around the legal issues of how do we go about training our AI. So I think the time of fighting it has come and gone, and I say that with a degree of sadness because
Hmm.
man, wouldn't it be nice just to go back in 5 years' time and have things be the way it was? But that's not the way technology works. That's not the way change happens in life. Change comes and we have to adapt to it. And the adaptation is saying it's here, it's not going away. How can I benefit from this? How can I improve what I love to do as a result of this? Rather than saying, I don't like it. I'm gonna say bad things about it. I'm gonna say bad things about people who are using it, etc. I'm trying to say this a little bit carefully because you and I have gone through this journey where we've said we don't like it, we don't want it, we don't like it, we don't want it, and respecting our community, saying we don't want it, we don't like it, particularly in terms of art. The programmers are like,
Yeah.
"Yay, here it is. I love it. It helps me figure out problems with my code, and it gives me ideas, and it helps me do the things I've got no idea how to do." So that the more sort of developer programmery people have been embracing it for a lot longer. But the artists among us are saying, "This is I don't like what's happening here." I think we need to change. I think we need to if people have had that stance, I think now it's time to say, "Okay, this is something to put in the toolkit. How can I use it? How can I benefit from this?" Do you agree with that? Do you agree with what I'm saying here? You're really connected with your YouTube community and with the GameDev.tv community in terms of what people are thinking and feeling and worried about and concerned about and like and don't like. Do you think now is the time for us to say, "Let's figure out how to make this work"?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we've kind of been there for a while, but been because it seems obvious, doesn't it, that it's here to stay, and there's still legal battles going on, but we kind of know that legal battles are won by those with the most money, and these big companies have a huge amount of money being thrown at them, and AI is even just looking at AI in general, there's a real race to be the winner, and these legal things are just they're small issues in the way of this race to be the first to get sort of artificial general intelligence is sort of where they're aiming. It feels like, but whether we can get there or not is another question. And I know this is all a bit again future predictions, and it's difficult to say, but we can clearly see that it's here to stay. There's in our systems, in the global systems, the global economic systems, there's no way that it can go back in the box, as it were. You just can't undo all that's happened. And
Yeah,
yes, it got there unethically, but then I guess that's a different debate. And I do truly respect people who say, I'm not going to touch this. Good for you. But I think getting angry at other people who say, well, I'm going to try and embrace it, is only going to hurt you, because you're sort of getting angry, and it's going to upset you every time you go to do any art. It's going to be difficult. So I think that we do have to kind of move on. Embracing it, I'm not sure that's the obvious answer, but understanding it, knowing it's there, knowing its limitations. If you want to work in this industry, then you will come across AI, and there'll be bits that you'll have to use. But if you're a hobbyist, then that's cool. That's great. You don't have to
Yeah.
touch it at all. You can still do your art and still absolutely love it. And I think that's commendable, in fact. And if you want to be a traditional artist, you don't need a computer. You go and get your paints or your pencil and you draw. That's fantastic. But in the same way as those artists had to take on digital technology, there was a big uproar when you could use a graphics tablet, and that's cheating. We got those sort of words. This is different, but it's still got that element to it, that there is the moving forward, and you're only going to make yourself angry, I think, if you shout at everybody else that is using it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I also want to say that I think we should continue to be immensely proud if we do all the things ourselves without relying upon anything else to do it. I think we should be very proud of that. That's not going to go away. You're saying as a hobbyist,
Absolutely.
there's still the craft of it. So
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of people using asset packs when making games.
Yeah.
Because I'm not skilled enough to make the art myself, and I don't have the time. I'm busy doing the other aspects of making a game. So I'll happily go to the asset store and spend $20, $50, $100 on, great, they're the exact assets I want that someone else created that I didn't create. I didn't do myself. And everything didn't fall over because asset pack creation became a thing. In fact, I think it allowed a lot of people who don't have skills in that area to focus on the areas that they do have skills with. If you do have skills in making art, then make art. Continue to make it for yourself and have a product and output that is, this was all me. I think we shouldn't assume that because AI can help with some areas that you have to use it. You absolutely don't have to use it. And as the AI art creation gets better, where you can just type in, make a character for me, and it'll be as good as you can get from the asset store, then the money is not going to go to the small studio or to the artist that made the asset pack. So the money is going to go in a different direction. It's going to go to the AI company that spent the time and the effort and the months or the years figuring out how to turn your idea into something that's a finished asset. So the money's going to go to a different spot. I think some of us don't feel good about that I'd rather it go to the artist than it goes to the tech company. There's a lot of that, I think, going on. But I think that part's a similar process. You don't have to use either of those two things. Both of them is going to have a cost. Generative AI is not free. There's a cost to it. A lot of people in the chat are talking about that as well, in terms of the cost to generate these things, the power, the development time to build it and train it, etc. Still going to be a cost, but again, you don't have to use it. You can do it yourself. I think the thing that I'm trying to get across in this whole conversation is we don't want to bury our head in the sand and say that's not happening. That's not an option. People should never do that. I think I would be surprised if we have anyone in this chat that's watching at the moment that would say no one should ever use asset packs from the asset store. You shouldn't go to the Unity asset store or Fab or wherever and buy an asset. I think most people would say that's okay to do that. If you're not an artist, go do that. So I think for me, in the next couple of years, it's going to be a similar sort of thing. I don't have the skills to make this art, so I'm going to go use asset packs or generative AI to make it for myself. But it's only going to get you so far. The problem we continue to have when you use asset packs is you might have, I got this from one asset, characters from one asset pack, my trees from another asset pack, my buildings from another asset pack, or I got it all from one asset pack, but it doesn't quite look right. It doesn't match the sort of aesthetic I'm going for in my game. You still need to be able to modify them to make them cohesive. You still need that vision to put it all together. So I think there's in the next 2 or 3 years, I think there's going to be a lot of similarities between how that plays out.
Yeah. I'm just going to, so Zan with a plan is sort of saying the fight has come and gone is completely inaccurate. They're saying this conversation is just starting. Saying this is inevitable just means you want it and you're showing your hand. And honestly, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't think you want it either, do you, Rick? Do you want AI to come in and take away, do all the jobs? I'm not sure. Well, as an artist, I suppose maybe I'm a different perspective.
No, I mean, good credit. I don't want it. No, I don't. I didn't. You and I didn't ask for this, but
No.
it's. I think we have to accept what is as opposed to what we want, and the question I was saying that the fight has come and gone in terms of stopping AI from being a thing that
Yeah,
gets used. It's a thing that will be used, whether we don't have to use it, but us getting there and rallying in the streets and protesting and saying we want to ban generative AI, no, that's come and gone. That being able to stop generative AI from being part of the game development workflow is
yeah,
it's here to stay as a tool.
yeah. It may be that I kind of hope that we keep more traditional artists, and it does. I think where it is at the moment is actually quite a nice spot because it's helpful in a sense. You can get references from it. I don't really want to use it as final pieces. I don't want. I prefer the way I 3D model rather than meshy AI or whatever it is. The ones where you can produce your image, plug it in, makes a 3D model, and then you can animate it. I mean, it all looks very generic to me, and it all looks very lifeless almost. I mean, it would do as a lot of background in people's games. I can understand them using it, but for me, I'd much rather see real art and someone who's put the effort
Yep.
in. And like we say, it's commendable those who want to do everything themselves, and but it's not always possible. But I think where it is at the moment, I'm sort of relatively comfortable with, ethics aside. But if this had been produced ethically, we wouldn't have the same arguments, I guess, but would still be in the same place. So ethics aside, I don't mind where it is at the moment. Still feel like there's lots of roles there, lots of opportunities there for people
Yeah.
like myself, who's a 3D artist. But
Yes.
yeah,
And
sorry. Yeah,
it's a sort of thing as like people still pay a lot of money for hand painted paintings, and people still learn the
yeah,
craft of painting. You still Bob Ross videos are still relevant. You still
yeah,
there's a joy to it as a craft, as a
absolutely.
hobby, as a business. So uh, people still paint, and just because cameras came along didn't stop people painting. And I think that's something good for us to remember. Just because there's tools or there's places to go that mean you don't have to get into Blender and create things, doesn't mean you have to use them, and doesn't mean that there will be no opportunity to create your own stuff. I think that's still a thing. That's not going away anytime soon. One of the things, Grant, that I'm trying to get to in this conversation is for people out there saying, "Ah, gosh, what does it mean for me? What do I do? I'm worried. What does this mean for me?" And I'd say if you're a
Mm.
hobbyist who loves getting into Blender or 3D art and making stuff, keep doing it. Like, don't even worry about what's
Absolutely.
going on with AI. Like, just
Yeah.
keep doing what you love to do. Fantastic. If you're an indie game developer who wants to make every single part of your game yourself, keep doing it. It's not going away. Like, you don't have to use any new tools. You don't have to take any shortcuts. You don't have to use other stuff. Like, just make it all yourself. That's fantastic. That's not going away. It's for
Mm.
me, the people that I'm really wanting to speak to are the people who have looked at it and said, okay, here's my career. I'm going to go to art school, or I'm going to work through GameDev.tv courses. I'm going to figure out how to get really good at this part of the workflow. And then, it looks like that part of the workflow is going away. What do I do now? Because I really wanted to work in the industry doing that thing. They're the people that I'm most concerned about. Not really concerned about folks who are just sort of talking philosophically about, is this good or bad? Because that's just an interesting philosophical conversation that we're having. The people who are saying, will this take my job? Am I going to be okay?
Mm.
What can we say to those people specifically?
Well, we obviously can't promise anything, but the way I see it at the moment, if I was starting out again, I would go down the same path. I would just think, right, if AI takes all our jobs, it's coming for every job. So I'm still going to want to, at this position right now, I still want to be a 3D artist. So I'm going to go down that route. I might be a little bit more adaptable, maybe try and get there a little bit faster in terms of my approach to learning, because things might change. Things change faster now. Programs update a little bit quicker, don't they? And things are going to develop faster with AI. So I might. I don't know whether I'd do the whole sort of 3-year university course or 4 years, as it tends to be now. Lots of people are sort of promoting the masters as well that you need in order to get that big job in industry. And I don't think that's really hard now. I think we're more sort of trying to get jobs with indie studios, or and it's the reality is, what used to be a dream, and used to be my dream. Oh, I want to work for Epic Games, that, or I want to work on World of Warcraft, as it was then. That's what I thought, and I never got there. I wasn't really good enough, to be honest. At my level, I had to sort of, but I was good at teaching, and you take your pathway. So I wouldn't go down the path of big, huge 4-year course. I think that's a little bit dangerous, unless it's the course starts adapting as it goes through. But I think universities are a little bit sluggish to change their institutions and to work with the industry. Some are good, but the majority, as I see it, and again, you can shout me down and say this one's really good. They changed it and they put this AI module in or whatever. But generally speaking, I think you need to work a bit quicker to get the results. But I would still want to learn those fundamentals. Like I say, I think even with AI there, you still want to understand and be able to have those fundamental skills in order to be able to use it, if you are going to use it. And if you aren't, and it doesn't get there, and let's say AI loses the battle, the big companies lose the battle, legal battle, and it doesn't appear, then again, my plan hasn't changed. I'm still working to become a 3D artist. If it does get there, I'm still working to become a 3D artist with an understanding and be able to use those tools. So I would always stick with the plan, as it were, and just be ready to move and flow with the waves that come in. I think that, so get on your boat, but have a smaller boat that's not too bulky that you can't steer it very easily. Makes sense, Rick?
Yeah.
Weird wave analogies there.
Yeah. Yes, I think all that. I'm one thing I'd really love for people to do is just be kind to each other in when talking about this. I know a lot of people are worried. A lot of people have a certain opinion and preference. I think a lot of the animosity comes from a place of concern, a place of fear, a place of worry. But we haven't talked about this a lot on our live streams, but the last, I think it's pre-COVID, but definitely since COVID, this has become stronger, is you seem to be on team A or team B. And if
Yeah.
someone's on team A and you're on team B, then they're the enemy. And I don't understand why that's the case. That I'm it makes me sad. It makes me sad
Yeah.
that people are not having a conversation now. We're like, hey, Grant, you seem to believe something different to me. Tell me about that. Interesting.
Yeah.
I disagree, but it's cool. Like I respect the fact that you think that way. Because Grant has a different opinion to me doesn't mean that he's the enemy. It doesn't mean I need to call him names. It doesn't mean that I need to get upset and angry and how dare he. I don't know how we got to this point where, maybe this has always been the case and it's just I'm paying more attention to it now. But even in this conversation, even there's a lot of feeling, a lot of emotion. And I wonder if people are not feeling heard. I wonder if people are feeling like, hey, I've got something to contribute to this and no one's listening because team A won't listen to me. So I've got to make my point stronger and be more sort of raw about it to get their attention. And I think one of the skills that is going to be critical in the predicted future, like we don't know what it's going to be like, but AI is coming along. A lot of people are looking at the crystal ball and saying, this is what the world is going to look like. One of the really important skills is going to be that connection, the human side of things, the talking to each other with care and kindness, the solving problems, understanding what's going on, empathy. These are the things that I think we need to strengthen, embrace, connect with, because there'll be a lot of things that become more technologicalized or roboticized or like dehumanize. And I think that's a really important area for us to focus on and practice and train and get really good at. So I've seen some comments in the chat about people saying, I've got these skills and, AI is taking some jobs, but, I'll be okay. I'll push through. And I think that's a great attitude to have. I think if you've got the attitude of everything's doom and gloom and let's burn down the citadel and if you're not on my team you're against me, I think that's a very dangerous stance to take, because you're going to find yourself not able to connect with other people, not able to be working on a team, not getting invited to do something that you might want to do. So to the people who are out there saying, you know what, we've got different opinions, but you know, I respect your point of view. I disagree, but I respect it. Thanks for the conversation. That's, I think, the right flavor. That's the right tone, direction to take to, you know, to have opportunities in the future. So I don't want this to come off as me doing an A versus B where I'm like, we're the kind people and you're the yucky people and you're on the other team. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying if you really want, like if you feel strongly about it, then try to let people know, hey, I want to talk to you about this because it's really getting me worked up. And can we have a conversation about it? And we're on a different page, but I respect that you can think one thing and I can think another thing. So I don't know if that message is landing, Grant, or if that makes sense, but I think kindness, particularly in this is, you know, in the Game Dev TV community, we're all battling at it together and let's be kind to each other.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. And but even and people are being it's great actually. People are being quite positive now, and they're saying, "Oh, that's a good point. Thank you, Rick," and all this sort of thing. So I think it's important to bring that up. But I do respect what other people are. You know that there's some anger coming out about, but it's because people are losing their job, and it's this people's stuff is being stolen. Yes, there is that, and we do hear that as well.
Yeah.
There's and we can still see both sides, and we're still wanting to talk about it and understand both sides. And it isn't just AI that is causing those job losses. Uh, the, there is a global crisis at the moment, and it's almost as if AI is a bit of an excuse of, oh, it's AI that's causing this. And I think big companies are getting very profit hungry in order to survive. And there's one of my passions is economics as well and politics.
Yeah.
But I won't stray into that because otherwise we'll be here for years. But it's not as simple as AI caused the job loss for the most part. There's more to the story than that. Um, but yeah, I feel like maybe and it's easy for me to say, but AI has affected our jobs. We're always looking at where we're headed and trying to be strategic, trying to be adaptable, knowing that it's going to impact the courses we offer, the current courses we have, the changes that are going to happen to the Blender side of GameDev.tv. Where's that going to go? Where's the 2D art? We had a 2D art sort of side. Where do we push that? Do we do an AI course? And then we're going to have to choose a side and all this. There's lots going on for us as well. We haven't chosen a side, as it were. We're still trying to understand what's happening here as well. I feel like I'm going off on this pathway and it's getting pushed all over the place. But what the most important thing is that we are listening to the community. It's really important to us to the community is the strongest aspect of what we have at GameDev.tv, I think. And we want to listen to the community, support the community where we can, and support those who are angry and hurt at the moment as well.
Yeah.
Did any of that make sense, Rick?
It made sense. I think if you're there's a lot to dislike in the world, and there's a lot to get upset about and worried about. And I think for me, I try to pick my battles because you can't fight everything. There's a lot of injustices in the world. There's a lot of harm in the world. There's a lot of hurt in the world. So if there's a particular topic that is this is the hill I'm going to die on, then fantastic, go for it. And I think there's people out there who see the path we're going on with generative AI is not the right path. So they're like, I'm out here fighting this. Fantastic. I think for me, I'm trying to be really authentic here and say that at the start I was fighting against that because I saw the harm that it was going to do to our community, our particular community. I've got to the point now where I've said we can't win this battle. We can't turn it off. We can't say there will be no AI, generative AI, that there will be no generative AI companies. I think that's the point I'm trying to make. And if you disagree with that, cool. That's awesome. Like if you're like, I'm still going to fight this. I'm never going to use it. We're going to make the companies go away. I'm going to make a lot of noise. Fantastic. It's great. The thing that I plead for is that if there's people out there who aren't the decision makers, then be kind to them when you're making your point. If it's the decision maker, if you're going and talking to Sam Altman or Elon Musk or a politician or a world leader, and you're like, "Ah, we've got to make this point," then express yourself however you think is going to get the result you want to get. But if there's someone out there who's the, hey, I love making games and look at this cool thing I did using AI, then you might think that that's not the right thing for them to do, but you don't have to, take a big dump on them and tell them that they're bringing society to the, to the brink of extinction. I don't think. That's just my own personal feeling. You might be like, no, Rick, everyone who's using AI needs to get a good old talking to. Fantastic. But I'm trying to put that out there just because here's my stance. And if you agree with my stance, cool. If you disagree, fantastic. I've put months and months and months and months of thought into this. I've got a couple of, I've got 2 young daughters. What's their future going to be? What jobs are they going to have? It's so unclear what their career would be. Should they go to university? Probably not. Should they learn a particular skill? I don't know. They're both fantastic at reading and writing stories. My eldest was talking about, oh, maybe I'll take some legal studies because she's interested in being a policy maker or a decision maker or someone who understands how to to use the law, not a lawyer, but using the law. It's like, I don't know if anyone's going to need to do that in the future. Maybe it's just AI does it all. So I'm not coming from a place of being blasé or flippant or not considering the information. I would much rather have the predictability of saying to my kids, go off and study whatever, mechanical engineering, do a degree, get a job, work your way up in your career, and you'll be set for life. That's the way to do it. Or go learn a trade, learn how to be a carpenter, because people always need that. Who knows? The stories you hear now about robotics is there's going to be robotic carpenters. And so this is not coming from a place of, here's a shiny new tool. I don't care about the consequences. Grant and I have thought about this really, really, really deeply. And I don't see any other path except for we need to view it as a tool that can help us do what we want to do and try to be kind to each other and work our way through it. I just don't see any other path. If someone's got some information on another path through this that they can share with us, that'd be fantastic. And also I want to give that framework for folks in our community who are saying, what do I do now? Okay, what do I do now? And so what we're trying to do with our products, with our courses, with our education, with our teaching is to find what's the gap and how do we have people get better at that. And a little bit of what I wanted to talk about today, Grant, was our program that's coming up, our art program. Just really quickly, I don't want this to be a big old sell, but we're running our 3D art program again, which is basically helping people to become that art director. How do you have the eye for it? We don't use AI at all in the program. It's not an AI related thing. It's how do you get good? How do you be an artist? Because that's one of the big breakdowns between going from I can dabble in Blender to being I'm good. I can make great assets, or I can do things that inspire people or create an emotion. How do you get emotion into your art? How do you have your composition so that it inspires? How do you set up your lighting so that it tells a story? And these are the things that if you don't learn this now, then it's going to get more and more difficult to learn it as the core craft of I learned it over 2 years of kind of moving vertices around and fiddling with the lights. That might become less and less of a thing that artists do. So I think learning it now is a very important to do. So just a super quick plug on the program. We only offer it twice a year and we've opened it up again at the moment. So if I can, how do I get this on the screen? Just if you're interested, if you're not a problem, like all good. I'm going to try to put it on the screen if I can figure out how, Grant, while you're continuing.
Yeah, the program starts on the 7th of September, so it's on sale now, and you can go across and and join, sign up, as it were, and then it starts on the 7th of September. For me, the reason why we created the program is in a sense the response to what the times are now, because I still think I would want to learn 3D art. I would want to learn the fundamentals. So we're trying to with everything we do with GameDev.tv, like Rick said, we're trying to adapt to what we think the audience or you out there need, and the program is part of that. It's trying to be more of a boot camp, where we give feedback and assignments, and because I used to be a high school teacher, and then I was a sixth form teacher, but I could see that there was problems with that. There was really long process of 2 years, and this basically, what I do here is the equivalent of the 2 years that I did and taught at a sixth form level. So that's just sort of pre-degree level. There's sort of some overlap there. And I thought to myself, that's probably all you need, is this really intense sort of 8 weeks where you learn the fundamentals. And if you are keen, then and you're excited about it, those people were a pleasure to teach. And that's why I think this program is sort of meeting that need, but it's a much shorter, squished down time. You can take it at your own pace, but it's one of those things where we have assignments and feedback at the end of each module, which is 1 week in between most of them, apart from the last two, which are a bit bigger and longer. Am I explaining it? But the main thing for me is that this, I feel like, is where we're at the moment. Yes, you can go off and do a degree course. I still think that's valuable and very useful if you want to really get to the high end of art. But this, for me, is the essentials, the fundamentals that you need, squished down into this 8-week program. That's, I think, quite a powerful tool that, which is where we're aiming at. That's what we feel like there was a gap, as Rick identified there, that we're trying to fill. Anyway, that's enough of a plug there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good plug. I've put the link in the chat as well, and I'll take it off the screen. So the whole point here is we're trying to give people solutions. We're trying to come up with solutions for so what do we do? If you want to make your own art, what do you do? If you want to get a job, what do you do? If you want to stand out because there's less opportunities and more competitiveness, what do you do? If you want to just get better at just being an artist, and what I really want to stress in this conversation is being an artist is not going away. Even all this conversation we've had about AI, being an artist is not going away. It's still something that you should, if you love it, then do it. And if you're good at it, there'll be opportunities for you. I still believe that in whatever it is that you do in life, if you're good at it, there'll be opportunities for you, but you have to be good at it. And a little bit, when I was starting off in the games industry, there were so few opportunities. It was so difficult. Didn't know how to learn game development, didn't know how to get a job in game development. There were no schools teaching it. The amount of opportunities was minuscule. The amount of training was minuscule. The path was very unclear. If you fast forward to today, there's lots of opportunities. There's lots of paths to take. There's lots of ways to improve, and there's a lot of competitiveness. There's a lot of people out there looking for it. So there might have been, just for example, 10 jobs in the past. Now there's 1,000 jobs, but there might have been 100 people looking for the 10 jobs. Now there might be 100,000 looking for the job. I'm just making up those numbers, right? There's a lot out there, but it's competitive. Just means if you're really good, it just means you have to be really good, basically, is what I'm saying, for those opportunities. I think the opportunities are still out there. So don't lose heart. Don't assume that because you hear about a couple of layoffs that there's nothing out there. There's way, way, way more opportunities than there were, definitely 20 years ago. Definitely. There might not be as many opportunities as there were yesterday, but there's still opportunities.
Yeah. I'm just going to quickly answer a couple of questions about the program. So can I use Maya in the course instead of Blender? Yes, you can. Some of the lectures are kind of Blender specific in terms of I'm using Blender to show the techniques. But generally, it's more sort of understanding the fundamentals of 3D modeling. There are specific tools within Blender, but if you understand them in Maya, then you'll be fine, and you'll be able to do the sort of assignments, which are kind of the important bit, and getting the feedback there. That I would say is the essential bit, and the community aspect is we're finding is just as important as the feedback from us is the feedback from the rest of the community. So yes, you could use Maya. You can. There is a if you found that it wasn't suitable, you can get your money back, and we're happy to give you your money back. So in fact, I'd be delighted if you came across as a Maya user, see what it was like, and if it didn't work, we'll happily give you your money back, and we've learned from that experience. So yes is the answer there. Otherwise, you get your money back.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. So I was just on that point. Wait, we're genuinely trying to be like ethical and do the right thing all the time. So if anyone ever buys something from us and like, oh, this wasn't a good use of my money, or this sucks, or I don't like it, and we never, no questions, like
Yeah.
30-day money back guarantee. We promise that on everything. So I know a lot of places say that, and they kind of, it's a bit of a sales trick, but I mean, I we never want to trick anyone on any of these things. It's like we're trying to be the right folks here, trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. Another question: how many hours per week should a person spend on the course? It is up to you. You'll obviously get more out of it if you because I've tried to design it so if you took 8 weeks off doing everything, you could just become a really automatist in 8 weeks. I think you get a bit tired, and it's unrealistic to manage that. But you can either be that, or you can be the 30 minutes a day person and still get something out of it. So it is very adaptable in that sense. But you do have to realize you won't fulfill the amount that someone else will if they're spending 4 hours a day, let's say, on it, and it's a real sort of proper course. There is enough in there to be doing it at 4 hours or even up to sort of 6 hours a day if you can cope with that. So it varies a lot there.
Yeah.
There is one interesting question here. Is AI both a potential threat and a potential opportunity to manual traditional 3D art production? Now, I think that's a really interesting question, because I think there probably will be quite a backlash to the AI. Well, there is already, but I think people will really genuinely prefer non-AI work as AI becomes more generic. I don't think it already, you can spot it. And already, because I quite like going through TikTok or YouTube Shorts and things, seeing what's out there. And if I see an AI video, I generally just skip past it. You spot it straight away. I just sort of feel like there's lack of effort. Occasionally, I find something that I think, oh, that's actually a clever use of AI. Well done to them. But generally, you see it, skip past it. And I think, and I saw a wonderful video today of someone who was designing this dragon and they had, I can't remember who it was, I should reference the artist, but such a cool idea that where dragons just existed in the world and they kind of got in the way of ordinary life. And I thought, oh, that's a story. That is, there was a dragon sitting on top of a drive-through and its tail was getting in the way and drivers were trying to get past, and you think, oh, that is just brilliant, that is. And you can see this artist painting it, and I love that. I absolutely love that. But AI just gets a skip for me. So yes, I agree with you. I think there will be more appreciation of those that have the skills. I do think that, yes.
The last point I wanted to make about the program, Grant, just quickly, is we try to make a distinction between our courses. Like, here's great knowledge, here's a great workflow, here's a great curriculum, go for it. If you get stuck, we'll help you progress your way through it. Mostly through our teaching assistants. That's of course. In the programs, what we heard a lot of our community saying is, I want access to someone where I can say, here's my exact thing I'm working on. How do I make it better? How do I improve? What am I doing wrong here? And I've been out there trying to push my portfolio or give my portfolio to places. I've been working on my game, trying to make characters. I'm just stuck. This is not coming together. I don't know what to do. Sometimes you need to have that conversation with someone who can give you the straight goods and who can be a little bit, mean's not the right word, but can be honest and say, look, this part here, like your lighting doesn't look very good. It's flat. There's no emotion to it. There's no mood. Or this character looks very generic. It's the same character we've seen a million times. Or, you say you're working hard on this, but you've done one model in a week. Like, that's not going to get you where you want to get to. You need to really be focusing on this in 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day. So I think a lot of people need that. The thing that you get if you go off to a school and you have the teacher there, you do get that feedback, you do get that interaction. But, most of us are living in a spot where we don't get access to the school, or the school's going to cost $1 zillion, or maybe you don't trust the school. So that's what we try to do with our programs, is just give an opportunity to get feedback and do things with a live focus to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
yes.
there's an interesting question here. What's your personal take on? Oh, it's a jump there. Sorry, on Steam flagging AI generated content in games. This is a really interesting question because I think this highlights where we're at currently with AI and how these platforms, YouTube's doing the same. If it's only generated by AI, then they're saying you won't be able to monetize your channel, and obviously that will just put off those people who are just producing this slop, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the same for Steam. They're thinking, look, we're going to get a slop of these
Oh, yeah.
horrendously produced AI games just in the hope that people will make money, and they're desperately trying to get rid of them. But that's where AI is at the moment. It's not ready to be a tool in itself and quickly produce these games, and hopefully we can sell them, quickly produce these videos and get the clicks. And these platforms are worried about losing their audience. So they want to get rid of that slop as much as they can and have quality content on there. So it's a good sign of the fact that AI is not there at the moment, which is a positive sign for us as users, and perhaps a hint to where the future will be. I hope that we'll still have this role, and that's why I'd still want to go into this career in the hope that there is that AI will not solve all these problems.
Yeah, there's been a lot of conversation in the chat. We've been reading the chat, by the way. This is why we get distracted from time to time. A lot of conversations about it's not good enough. It makes mistakes. It's like there's lots of gaps. Those gaps aren't going away anytime soon. Like AI is going to get better, but you can't just go click, 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 and there it is. It's all done. Oh man, games in particular are so complex, and having an awareness of the entire architecture and all the things that plug in together is massive. It's the same with art. Having an awareness of the vision, the direction, the mood, the story, all the components, how it all fits together. It's gigantic. And, I think there'll be ways to use AI to help you with that. But I think certainly in the near future, you still need to have the person flying the plane, even if the plane knows how to use autopilot when it's just cruising through the air, or autopilot when it's taking off. You still need to have the pilot there. There's so many things that can go wrong. There's so many exceptions. It's not at the point where we have self-flying planes with no pilots in there. And I think that's a good comparison to artwork, making 3D art, is you still need someone to make decisions, and still need someone to glue it all together. You still need someone to connect with the emotion of it. So, yeah. Anyway, I was making I wanted to make a point here. Kathy McNeil, I've been struggling to find a job, switching from film to the game dev environment. So I've decided to start building my own game and go the solo route for a bit.
Yeah,
I think that's a fantastic philosophy.
definitely.
Kathy, is like, I've spent many, many years of my life helping people get jobs, helping people with their career, helping people stand out in interviews, helping people get interviews. The most important thing for you to have is the skills and proof of those skills. So if you're getting there and saying, hey, I'm good at this, give me an opportunity, you want to be able to prove it and show it. And I think a lot of people in my era went off and got qualifications. I went to university, or I went to school, and here's my bit of paper. And that was what you needed. Oh, you got a bit of paper? Great. That means that you can do what we need you to do. In today's day and age, that bit of paper doesn't prove that you can do what I need you to do at all. What you need to do is have the skill and rock up and be like, hey, look at me. Here's the thing. I made my own game as a solo indie. I made that, and that. Here's the game. Did you want to have a look at it? Here's a 30-second video of it. I did everything in that. That's all me. Then that's compelling, and that's interesting, and that's exciting. That's a really strong way of presenting yourself for opportunities. And I think stronger than, I was part of a 50-person team, and see that lightning bolt just there, that was me. The rest of the game, don't worry about it. I didn't do that. But that lightning bolt, I did that. So I love using solo game development as a way to really get your skills at the forefront. And if you're a 3D artist, then making your own stuff and putting them into a game, even if it's just a game template, or it's just a 30-second example of a game. It doesn't have to be a full-on game that someone can play and buy. You don't have to sell 1 million copies on the App Store, any of that kind of stuff, but showing, here's what I've done. So, anyone who's going down that path, I'd say do it with gusto, do it full steam ahead, spend as much time as you can on it while still having work-life balance, but really go for it. So, yeah, I just wanted to give Kathy a big old, hoorah, go for it.
Absolutely.
Take control, take it into your own hands, I think.
I think that's that's a key word there. Take control and take into your own hands. I love that, and that's, I think you have to really be bold, don't you, in this sort of era at the moment. Just a quick question about the art program again here. Does the course have, like to call it a program to distinguish it from a course. Does the program have class times or deadlines? There's no specific class time. We do launch the modules at a certain point and say, right, here you go. This is your week's work, as it were. And there is a deadline at the end of that. You don't necessarily have to meet that, but if we have a live call at the end of each week, and we review the work and talk through it. So if you wanted your work to be considered to be talked about, then you'd want to follow that format. And this is the second time through. I'm still looking at the old server where people are still just about finishing their projects from the last art program, and this is weeks and weeks later. You might not get the same intensity of feedback if you were to be a bit slower. So I'm trying to dip in as much as I can, help those people, but we try and keep to those deadlines. It's much better for you if we do, because it's working towards a deadline is a good motivator. So we know that, and it's helpful for us as well. We can't extend it out to weeks and weeks and weeks. It doesn't really work like that. It doesn't have the same buzz about it, unfortunately.
Yes.
Anything else there, Rick?
No, just yeah. I really want to speak to the people out there who are looking for an ally, looking for a buddy, looking for a community. Come jump into our Discord server. There's so many people out there. Like, what I'm feeling a little bit, we're watching the chat because we're here to do ask us questions. We'll give ourselves another sort of 5 minutes or so where just pop your questions in there if we haven't got to it yet. We'll see if we can get to them as many as quickly as we can. But if you're looking for supportive, kind, awesome people, jump into our Discord server. If you're looking for people who can, be your teammates, your allies, your friends, etc., then we're trying to create those communities, particularly as part of our program, so that you can surround yourself with people who have a can-do attitude, who are saying, let's make this work. Let's chase our dreams. And we're trying to create those communities. I understand here, within the YouTube landscape where, everyone's welcome, and all the opinions are welcome. But I think there's still a little bit of combativeness in this particular conversation, just looking at the chat. That's okay. If you're looking for supportiveness, then, come jump into our servers, because we've got a lot of support and encouragement. I think sometimes that's what you need. You just need someone to give you a big old virtual hug and say, your dream is a good dream. You're doing good. Like, keep chasing it. Keep working hard at it. You can't go slowly. You can't let the wind be taken out of your sails, because if you do, you're not going to get there. You need to push. You need to work hard. You need to get better. You need to improve. You need to understand the landscape of what's going on. You need to understand the technologies. You need to understand what other people are doing. You don't have to do those things, but you've got to understand it. Then you've got to push yourself forward. So, I just want to give a shout out to those who might be struggling a little bit in terms of which way do I go, and should I even bother, and is there hope? Like, yes, there's hope. Yes, you should bother. Yes, you need to work really hard. Doing things like anything creative is amazing as a career, as an occupation, even as a hobby, but it's competitive. And when things are competitive, you can't be so-so. You have to be good, and you have to work hard at it. So, I really want to give that point of encouragement to folks out there who are needing it.
Definitely. Another quick question about I just want to answer these ones that people are asking about the program. They've got a 1660 graphics card, which is pretty decent at the time, wasn't it? Will it be a disadvantage with my renders if I sign up for the course? No, there's lots you can do with that. It's still about the fundamentals, remember, and that's because you can. I always look at low poly art, and the people that do it well, you can just see that they are awesome artists. And you can have a really low poly character, but for some reason it's got character. It's really got character. It's really, you just look at it and you think, oh, look at that. That is brilliant. That's what you're aiming for if you haven't got the equipment, as it were. Whereas other people might be able to put in really high detailed renders and stuff. You'll be working on that lower poly end, but it's still the fundamentals. The fundamentals are the important bit. That you can do it with low end equipment. and Blender's quite good like that. It still works on that sort of lower end, which isn't that lower end. It's a long time ago, I suppose, 1660, but it's still pretty good.
Awesome. Couple of questions here, and we'll wrap up pretty soon, but we'll see if we can smash through as many questions as we can. From Lirazel, how are you going to organize the Discord? Will alumni and newcomers be in the same server, etc.? So the way we do with any of our programs is we have a dedicated Discord server for that program. You get to connect with people and hopefully establish some good friendships and connections. And then when you finish the program, everyone goes into the alumni area of our main GameDev.tv Discord server, so you can rub shoulders with folks from other programs and other intakes from the program that you're in, particularly because we've got folks going through our indie program that are like, I'd love to team up with an artist. So we're really trying to connect those folks together. We're keeping the intakes separate and then joining them all together into an alumni area at the end as well.
Yeah. So I was very slightly distracted there trying to. It's been a good chat actually, hasn't it? And we sort of end up reading lots and lots of questions.
Lots of stuff, yeah.
But it's nice. There's a fair bit of love out there as well. I know it's been a tense one at times, hasn't it, with the chat?
Yeah.
But it's nice to see a few positive
I think
messages.
here's a really good question from Kyle. I want to incorporate AI into my workflow involving other people, but I don't want AI in my final product. How would one deal with the often standoffish nature when mentioning the letters AI? So this is why I was saying before, I'm trying to take a stance on this so that others can see that and we can create it. And the whole tone in this conversation has been, didn't really want AI. AI's here. We're using AI, but we're not. We're trying to be as ethical as we can with it. And some will argue there's no such thing. Got it. I understand that. So I use ChatGPT more than I did in the past, and I still go into Google and type my question. When I type my question in Google, generative AI gives me the answer. I'm using it every day, whether I want to or not. Generative AI is embedded everywhere now. I don't know if you remember a year ago, you typed something in and it would give you, hey, how do I do such and such? Here's a link to a forum. Here's a link to a thing. Here's a link to a blog. Here's a link to a whatever. Now, when you type in, hey, how do I do a thing? The first paragraph is generative AI. I'm using it whether I want to or not. I'm not going to stop using Google because I need to function in today's modern society. So I'm using it, and I don't want to pretend that I'm not. So I'm using it. I try to not ever write something which is, hey, create me something in the style of Grant Abbitt, which is directly trying to rip off his style. I'm trying to be new with how I go about doing things. So that's a long ass way of Kyle's asking, how do I incorporate it? Just incorporate it. Be open about the fact that here's what we're doing. If you're not having any final assets that are AI created, cool, great. If you're using it in terms of helping to structure your project plan or helping to brainstorm ideas or helping to create a design document or helping to concept some ideas, like, great. I'm at the point now where I'm publicly saying I use it that way, and most people are using it that way, and it's not going away. And I'm really sorry to the people who get upset that we're doing that, but there's no way around it. Sorry, that's not a correct statement. There's it's here. It's part of our workflow. Hopefully that helps, Kyle, and hopefully that helps for others.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I do distract us with some questions quickly about the art program. Is there another intake come next year for the art program and indie programs? It is something we are hoping to run probably twice a year. Would you say, Rick?
Yeah.
That's how we're hoping to fit that in if we can. Generally, the price always has to go up. Unfortunately, they're just the resources and so forth. So it won't be cheaper than it is at the moment. That's one aspect to sort of waiting, unfortunately. But we are hoping to run these things again. Yes.
Yeah.
Is it possible to pay the course over 2 months? Can they split payments, Rick? That was something we offered last time, was it?
I don't. It's a technical question as opposed to a sure, but that's something. If that's something that's necessary, important, then contact Lucy at GameDev.tv and just let her know that, is there anything we can do to help organize that? I don't know. We've built our own web platform and we use Stripe as our payment system. There's some things that are just not sort of built in there. but happy to have a chat about it.
A grease pencil course.
Grant, you've been talking about a grease pencil course forever. When are you just going to make
Yeah.
a grease pencil course? Could you please? Hey, if anyone goes back and looks at our past live streams, Grant 2 years ago, I'm going to make a grease pencil course.
I actually released some videos on YouTube, which was an introduction to grease pencil, and I was sort of like, oh, okay, I'm getting into this now, but I haven't revisited it since, unfortunately. So I was thinking, do you know, I think I might make a course on this. We'll see.
Yep.
Maybe I'll put that in the list of things that I have to do in terms of courses. This is perhaps I'll put that nearer the top.
Yes. Last couple of questions before we wrap it up. Has anyone got anything? Should we use mouse or tablet? Did you answer that one already? You might have.
I've answered that. It's great if you've got a tablet, but you can do it all with a mouse.
I've done a lot of Blender using a mouse, and it's, well, I was going to say it's amazing. It's not. It's probably about as good as I could use with a tablet. So as good as I could do with a tablet.
When you get to the last bits where there's more of a sculpting workflow, which is sort of like for the advanced users sculpting workflow, then it is much better with a tablet. But again, it's not necessarily a pathway you have to go down, and you can get good results with a mouse, certainly.
Yep. Anything? Any other questions that we've missed in here? Just looking for last one or two questions. So if you've got a question that we haven't answered, then please throw it in there now. I know there's a little bit of a lag between us saying things and the question popping up. So we'll give it another minute or two.
This is a funny one, actually. Really glad you got off Teachable. It's funny because it's given us a lot of pain getting off Teachable, hasn't it? We've struggled to get our website working really well, and but it does give us more adaptability, doesn't it? And But I appreciated that comment because it was a tough long road that was.
It's when you roll your own, you get the pros and the cons, and we've got plenty of both of each. Yeah. What are your favorite 3D AI tools? I haven't used any yet. I've just been sort of generally trying to pay attention, but I don't want to use them. I'm not interested just yet. So good question, but haven't used any yet.
I do look at them to see, you know, it's sort of like, oh, how far has this gone? I don't use it in production, as it were, or you know, or to sell or to as part of my piece or anything. But I, you know, test this one out. How far is it going? What's the technology like? So I can plan, because I'm as an educator, I want to know what my students need to know. And if it was like, oh, well, this is doing every aspect of 3D modeling, I need to know about it so I can plan accordingly when I'm teaching students. So I've used it in that end, but I haven't got a favorite. Meshy AI seems to be the most popular. The results are generic. The results, if you put in a human, then I think you can animate the human because they're just templates that they put on, and they're built from templates. So it's quite clever. It's the illusion that it's quite sophisticated, but it is still a bit generic and nowhere near there, in my opinion, anyway. There's some other tools that are coming out. Gleb Alexandrov pointed one out recently that is coming out with some good topology for hard surfaces. You know, when you put in a picture and it comes out with some good models, and you think, well, it's getting there. But again, it's better topology, but it's still a long way off. So yeah. So I haven't got a favorite.
There's a lot of AI tools that just aren't good, don't get you where you want to get to. Like, so yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And last question, Inkwell and Muse, concerning portfolios, do you see social validation, acceptance, such as views, likes, etc., of one's independent work becoming more important hiring factor as AI artists become easier to make? So AI assets, sorry. So maybe likes, and I don't think social validation, social likes, etc., necessarily show that it's not AI. I'll give you in 30 seconds. I'll give you what I believe in terms of creating artifacts, which I talk about when I teach people how to get a job. Is rather than saying, here's my portfolio, here's stuff that I've done. If you get there and identify the opportunity you're pursuing, like here's someone I want to work for or work with, then go and create something specifically for them and capture yourself doing it. So a little bit of screen capture, a little bit of a video, like take a couple of photos along the way so you can show I actually did this. and then create something specifically for them. I went and created a character that I think could fit in your game. I went and created a little 10-second montage of a cutscene. I went and created a couple of assets. I created the perfect exploding barrel. I made an animation, and just for your game, your product, your company, your thing. So it's specifically for them. So they're not looking at your medieval knight and saying, oh, we're making a cyberpunk game. I wonder if that person can also do cyberpunk. You've gone and made a cyberpunk puppy that could be a sidekick for the main character, and it's cute and adorable and lovely, and they're like, wow, that could go in our game right now. You're the person we need. So don't stress about social validation on your portfolio. Think more about, how do I make a thing just for that opportunity that wows them and knocks their socks off and shows that I'm really dedicated to that opportunity. So pursue one or two opportunities really thoroughly, as opposed to trying to throw a net over 100 opportunities. That doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I could stay here and chat and talk philosophy and all that stuff all day long. But we do need to wrap it up to let people either get to sleep or get off to work. Thanks for all the conversation. And for those folks who have been presenting a different position to us in the chat, we've been reading that. Thank you for that. Like, we're all in this together. We're all trying to just figure out how to dance through this crazy life. So I respect the fact that you've got a different position, and also the fact that you might be frustrated by us taking the position that we've taken. So, we've been reading and listening and watching. For those folks who are struggling to find allies, we'll do our best to help you out, and, stay positive, keep your chin up. AI is changing things. There's a lot of worry about it, but just focus on being the best you possible and look on how you can elevate your skills. And one of the conclusions that Grant and I have reached is that think about how you glue all the things together. I talk about being an art director. So continue to learn the skills down at the low level. Those skills might be less relevant in the future, but still learn them, because that helps you become a better art director. And focus on cohesiveness and vision and mood and story and feelings and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
So Grant, thanks for joining today.
Yeah, I'd just like to, one of the words you said there, be bold. I really like that. And one of the most, that really encouraging, I've decided to go solo, and you think, yeah, do it, go for it. I love that. And that's something I'll take away today, which I really enjoyed. And thank you for all the thank yous as well.
Thank you for all the thank yous. Yes.
A tough subject at times. It's nice to hear the thanks and the appreciation. So thanks for that as well.
And for those folks still watching, you're clearly people that we need to listen to. So tell us what you want us to do, what courses you want us to make, what discussions you want us to have, what programs you want to see, what help you need, what you're worried about. So the more you tell us, the more we can be useful, and we can evolve, because we're here to support you guys, here to support our community. So give you what you need. So thanks very much for coming along today. Thank you, Grant. I'll put up our little going away in a moment screen, if I can figure out where it is. It is there. It's named starting soon screen, whereas the other one we started with is named stream ending. So not sure who named those, but a bit back to front.
It wasn't me this time, amazingly. I'm usually really good at naming stuff.
Hang on, what's this image called? Final render, final version 3, definitely final. Is that yours?
That's mine, yeah. I'm pretty sure that was the final one. It might have been the one before the final one, though.
The final, nearly final. There's a nearly final.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and see you again soon.
Yeah, cheers, Rick.